curious, do you believe that extraterrestrial intelligence has visited planet Earth?
I think you can go a step further. It hasn't just visited, it's been here a long time, and it's still here. And it has basically, people talk about the wow signal, looking for extraterrestrial intelligence. The wow signal is that people see it on an almost regular basis.
Dr. Gary Nolan, one of many disclosures recently that are leading up to a story that most aren't prepared to hear. Why are they suddenly releasing these disclosures? What is the U.S. government doing? And you really don't have to go far to find out. Just let the U.S. government tell you what they're doing, which is a rare event. House votes to make it easier to report UFOs. This legislation may open the floodgates, said a former Pentagon official responsible for investigating the sightings, or go to this bill, the Senate bill. And what did they spend 30 pages working on? Disclosing, assuring that they had the proper metrics in place to report 30 pages on a very important bill, by the way. The section in particular, Section 703, 30 pages spent on this. Modification of requirement for office to address unidentified aerospace undersea phenomenon. Section 1683, establishment of unidentified aerospace undersea phenomenon joint program office, to say the least. But it doesn't stop there.
If you had to assign a probability to that statement, that you believe extraterrestrial intelligence has visited this planet, what probability would you assign?
100%. And that's not just my opinion. I mean, look, the National Defense Appropriation Act, passed last year, signed by Biden in...
A portion of what I just read you. This is an unusual series of disclosures, far beyond what we've ever seen. Information coming out, and we're going to go through, we're going to go backwards in history and walk back through to today, to tie a lot of things together that you may not have tied together before, all the way from Project Blue Book to MK Ultra to Roswell through current modern day. A set of information that should be front page headlines everywhere, but it barely gets a whisper. And why do you think that is? That's what we're going to explore today. Can't thank you enough for allowing me to be here today. My name is Justice Knight. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Lisa will put a link above. Can't tell you how much that means to me and to her. If you haven't subscribed to Lisa's channel, or you think you're subscribed, double check, make sure your bell is checked so you're alerted to upcoming broadcasts. Now, in this era of misinformation and disinformation, the campaign that's ongoing, what they're releasing to us and not, if you want one place where you can assure you're going to get the straight message, no sponsors, no advertisers, no one else controlling the message that we deliver, that one place is restrictedrepublic.com. If you haven't gotten there, you are doing yourself a great disservice. I promise you that. Again, we not only re-air what we put here, but we put the exclusive content, the things that aren't discussed anywhere else, on top of live broadcasts with live chat that you can see, because Lisa and I have nothing to hide. And we want you to know all the information. Right now, to take advantage of restrictedrepublic.com, use discount code REALJOURNALISM at monthly checkout. Real Journalism, $3.99 a month for 2 years. Plus 14 days for free. That's how much we believe in the platform. Promise you that doesn't leave much in the way of profit, but right now we're going to build that audience because there is a lot of information that won't be disclosed anywhere else but there. RestrictedRepublic.com. And now let's get back to this broadcast. As I promised you, we're going to take a little walk back in history. Roswell, New Mexico, the infamous crash site in the summer of 1947. A rancher discovered unidentifiable debris in his sheep pasture outside Roswell, New Mexico, although officials from the local Air Force Base asserted that it, of course, was a crashed weather balloon. We have learned a lot more now, haven't we? As these whistleblowers are leaking out information, did you know? The Project Mogul team invented a number of high-tech materials from its balloons and other equipment, including ultra-lightweight and ultra-strong metals, fiber optic cables, and fireproof fabrics. This is part of the reason why some people who saw the debris thought it came from outer space. Boy, they really are drawing a loose connection there. When did all of a sudden all our technology advance? Rapid leaps overnight. Of course, you're led to believe that that's just the mind of man. And suddenly all these things just came out of the blue that we had no basis to ever invent. Project Blue Book, many of you familiar with Project Blue Book, and we'll go to the ending with the Condon Report that basically dismissed almost all of it over the next 17 years. Project Blue Book compiled 12,618 UFO sightings or related events. Similar to the Robinson panel, not easy for me to say today, Blue Book would eventually classify more than 90% of these as identified. However, the remaining 700 incidents remained unidentified. 1966, Air Force comes around, requests the formation of another committee to look into the details of 59 of those UFO sightings investigated by Project Blue Book. The committee, headed by Dr. Edward Condon and based on the University of Colorado, dismissed it all. Of course it did. At that point in time, I guess they thought that you weren't ready for the truth. Today, I think they're taking a different position, but are you ready? Are you prepared? Hope you know what you're looking at there. Area 51, of course. 1950s, 1960s, multiple sightings made around Area 51. Suddenly, this technology coming out of the blue. Jets being able to fly 2,000 miles per hour. Now think about the first UFO sighting. What did that gentleman say? He said that the UFO he believed was traveling at 2,000 miles per hour. Boy, it all ties together, doesn't it? Now I'm taking a very high-level overview because I want to get into the depth of what's happening right now. But think about it for a moment. I want you to think about MK Ultra experimenting on Americans with LSD. All coming around the same time. Why do you think they might have done that? Well, new information coming out that those experiments may be in an effort to look into a third dimension. Boy, that sounds sci-fi, doesn't it? Well, wait for a minute, because that Senate bill references, in particular, something very significant. Why it should be bombshell information, but of course it's met with a whisper. Testing on humans with LSD to see what they're seeing in a third dimension. Why would anybody want to do that? I told you it's going to tie a lot of things together. But we'll go back to the document now. Coming out of the Senate, page 85, we started to cover it here. And within it, they say, well, the definition of UFO is now changed to trans-medium objects or devices, an unidentified aerospace undersea phenomenon. This goes back to something you're very familiar with, the Tic Tac video. It was traveling in and out of water. Or was it? Or was it from another dimension? Was it traveling in and out of our reality? Well, the Senate goes to declare trans-medium objects. That's a major declaration. Space, atmospheric, and water domains, and currently unknown technology and other domains, now man-made, also gone. What do they know? What's scaring them? Or what are they disclosing? All this information suddenly is tied together. Of course, not reported by mainstream media, only reported here. That article, House votes to make it easier to report UFOs. They put this through Mr. Gallagher of Washington, unidentified aerial phenomenon reporting procedures, allowing for whistleblowers to come out. Another layer of protection. It's amazing. Some whistleblowers protected, some aren't. There must be something relevant here. If now we're to believe that our government is suddenly protecting these whistleblowers, but not these, why would they do that? Have they stumbled into something they don't understand, can't comprehend, or need further knowledge to understand? There's already been so much of this out there. DoD announces the establishment of the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. One of them, 2021. 2022, out comes AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office to take all these reports. I believe 25 people are in that department, or were in that department, probably much larger by now, to compile and collect all the data sets. It's like a modern-day Project Blue Book, isn't it? What are they categorizing? What are they trying to categorize? What are they trying to catalog? Well, you get a lot of hints about this, a lot of hints. And it's coming through the whistleblowers, because if you're listening to what they're disclosing, and these gentlemen, by the way, are vetted out, significant members of the intelligence or military community. These aren't some offshoot quacks. Their pedigrees, their resumes are large and vetted. But now they have a little protection. Now they're suddenly trickling everything out. Listen to this report coming off of News Nation.
UFOs exist. The U.S. government found quite a number of them, and they are indeed human origin. Those are the UFOs exist. The U.S. government found quite a number of them, and they are indeed of non-human origin. Those are the explosive allegations from a former intelligence officer tonight in a whistleblower complaint that the Inspector General is taking very seriously.
To think for a moment that every single publication website wouldn't have this as front page news is mind-boggling, isn't it? But we know the flow of information is controlled by those that we don't see. And I'm not talking to folks they're talking about here on this report. No, it's a lot deeper than that now, isn't it? Congress implies UFOs have non-human origin. 8/22/22. Man, it's been trickling up for a little while. Of course, nobody wanted to touch on it. Nobody wants to look like a crazy UFO believer. Well, it appears that a lot of people are UFO believers now. This implies that members of the Senate Intelligence Committee believe, on a unanimous, bipartisan basis, that some UFOs have non-human origin. These are senators, folks, declaring on a bipartisan basis that these are of non-human origin. After all, why would Congress establish a task of powerful new office with investigating non-man-made UFOs and such objects did not exist? Make no mistake. One branch of the American government implying that UFOs have non-human origin is an explosive development, but not even a thunderbolt is heard. It's also part of a remarkable shift in official attitudes towards UFOs. I'm going to go back to Dr. Gary Nolan again.
Let's take one step back. Reverse engineering programs.
Of downed craft. Now, the first question that people will ask is, well, if they're so frigging advanced, why are they crashing? Because what's crashing is not actual living things. I mean, I use this example a lot. If you wanted to study a tribe of cannibals in the middle of the Amazon, are you going to go yourself and show up in the middle of the tribe?
Some common sense statements. Basically, they're sending drones in to explore a less intelligent race. Speaking of us is what he's referring to, but he wasn't the only one. Within days of that, NASA comes up with their not so enlightening, let me just kill the volume on that, not so enlightening, unidentified anomalous phenomenon UAP meeting held by NASA. But unique that NASA allowed a live chat to be happening right below the broadcast. Not something that they would regularly do, but you see it there. They are here, bully the scientists, flat earthers are a menace, blah, 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 but nonetheless a U.S. government office allowing for a live feed during a broadcast. It appears now they want engagement. This panel wants engagement from you, or they want you to be set off a little bit sideways, only providing you a small faucet of information in the beginning, now turning up that faucet to a larger volume. What are they preparing to release? As the official search for ET accelerates, scientists say disclosure is happening now, and I believe it is. It's what's called a soft disclosure. They're vetting out how America will react. What if they truly do have UFOs in their possession? What if they have something further? There's been hints throughout history. There's reports around the world. interdimensional entities in form of fallen angels have returned, Russian scientists claim. Some calling them fallen angels, some calling them aliens, some calling them demons, some calling them Nephilim. We'll go into more deeper explanation of what each of those would mean, could mean, and the interpretations as such in another video would take all day, but it's very interesting, this coming out of Russia. According to a report carried out by the Military Scientific Committee, the allies of Russia, India, China, and Brazil are needed to defend our planet because some interdimensional, goes back to the Senate document now, transdimensional, interdimensional entities in form of fallen angels have returned to recover the earth. Now, you'll have to go deeper in your Bible to understand that term or if it's even accurate. That's for you to decide. We're going to tell you our opinion again in future broadcasts. We're going to go a lot deeper into this. I want to see in the comments if this is something you want to learn more about. Extremely interesting to me. Let's not forget that back during World War II, Soviet intelligence services confirmed that the Nazis had a kind of relationship with fallen angels/demons, even though the oldest record of our planet are known as gods. To me, they're fallen angels. And in other respects, there's also demons. Very interesting study when you get into it. But now, modern day again, Politico putting out this article, if the government has UFO crash materials, it's time to reveal them. Since Arrow was established, I have referred 4 witnesses to them who claim to have knowledge of a secret U.S. government program involving the analysis and exploitation of materials recovered from off-world craft. Other sources who, rightly or wrongly, do not trust Arrow's leadership have also contacted me with additional details and information about an alleged secret U.S. government reverse engineering program, and they are using it for a military basis. Of course they are. Always about weaponry, always about opening Pandora's box of destruction, but again, there's a biblical reference to that. Why would they want to destroy mankind? I told you this story will branch off. The most refreshingly clear guidance I have received came from Senator Kristen Hildebrand, who is chair of the Senate Armed Services Emerging Threats and Capabilities Subcommittee, a member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. When the opportunity presented itself during a meeting in the Senate, I asked, "You've launched an investigation that could prove aliens are visiting Earth. Why? What if the answer proves to be yes? Would you support sharing that information with the American people? After all, Arrow is not required to share its findings with the public, only Congress." Without hesitation, she replied, "Of course, why not?" Well, that's an awful fast response from people who tend to evade ever giving a straight answer, but now suddenly they're wide open to it. Now we're to believe our democracy is suddenly transparent, as they call it democracy. I hate the word because we are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. I digress. We're staring at aliens right now. UFOs, demons, fallen angels. Intelligence officials, this comes out, the debrief. Major article, 2 major authors, Leslie Kean, Ralph Blumenthal, and they dig in deep. They vet out the pedigrees of who they're talking to and who they're talking about. A former intelligence official turned whistleblower has given Congress and the intelligence community Inspector General extensive classified information about deeply covert programs that he says possess retrieved, intact, and partially intact craft of non-human origin. The information, he says, has been illegally withheld from Congress, and he filed a complaint alleging that he suffered illegal retaliation for his confidential disclosures. Major crime, represented by a major attorney. We're about to get there. The whistleblower, David Charles Grush, 36, decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan, is a veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, and the National Reconnaissance Office, NRO. He served as a Reconnaissance Office representative to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force from 2019 to 2021. From late 2021 to July of 2022, he was the NGA's co-lead for the UAP analysis and its representative to the task force. This is a lot of what you've been hearing come out. This is a vetted officer. He said the recoveries of partial fragments through and up to intact vehicles have been made for decades through the present day by the government, its allies, and defense contractors. Analysis has determined the objects retrieved are of exotic origin, non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or unknown, based on the vehicle morphologies and material science testing and the possessions of unique atomic arrangements and radiological signatures. In filing his complaint, I'm going to go forward a little bit further. They go further. These authors don't settle for that. They find additional experts to try to vet and validate this information. Jonathan Gray is a generational officer of the United States intelligence community with the top secret clearance who currently works for the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, where the analysis of UAP have been his focus. Previously, he had experience serving private aerospace and Department of Defense Special Directive Task Force. The non-human intelligence phenomenon is real. We are not alone. Retrievals of this kind are not limited to the United States. This is a global phenomenon, and yet a global solution continues to elude us. They're not done yet. Grish is represented now by Charles McCullough III, senior partner of the Compass Rose Legal Group in Washington. Why would he need such heavy representation? Because he is walking through a landmine, a minefield of confidential information he can and cannot disclose. He does not want to end up in a federal prison. That, to me, vets him out even further, and to most who study this, vets him out much further. Confirmed by the U.S. Senate in 2011, at the time, McCullough reported directly to the then Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, and oversaw intelligence officers responsible for audits, inspections, and investigations. In May of 2022, McCullough filed a disclosure of urgent concern complaint of reprisal on behalf of Grish and the ICIG about detailed information that he had gathered beginning in 2019 while working for the UAP task force. What does Dr. Carlson have to say about all this?
Human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. The Pentagon has spent decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapons systems. Okay, that's what the former intel officer revealed, and it was clear he was telling the truth. In other words, UFOs are actually real.
Well, at least somebody talks about it. One person. But there's a lot more info out there.
You, Gary, Dr. Nolan, you have to speculate. What do you
Right.
think it is? Let's be bold.
I think it is an advanced form of intelligence, something that we don't understand, that is using some kind of intermediaries, however it is, like I said about you're not going to end up in the middle of the tribe, the angry monkeys that are flinging muck at each other.
Something using intermediaries. Lawmakers calling for transparency from these whistleblowers, that they've recovered alien craft. You heard Tucker say not only alien craft, but alien beings. Now, where's that truth at?
That they're showing up, they're saying, well, who amongst you are intelligent enough to realize what it is that you're looking at?
Yeah.
They don't have to land on the White House lawn. We can always make the joke about, is there intelligence in D.C. at all, right? You just need to show yourself to enough to acculturate.
Yeah.
Now, if you've been around for a long time, and
You just have to show you're enough to get people to accept what's happening. I could go into testimony after testimony, some saying these aren't nice, some saying they are. Me, I don't believe they're nice at all. I don't believe they have any good intentions whatsoever. Of course, I'm on the fallen angel side of things, not little green men side of things. When you listen to John Ramirez a little bit further, he's a little bit half and half. CIA officer, John Ramirez.
Protocols, but they would caution be concerned or be wary of who you might invite in.
Yes.
That's the big variable. I don't play with Ouija boards for that reason, because I do believe that there are forces. I don't know what to call them, but entities, forces that may not have humanity's interest first and foremost in their mind.
Very relevant statement when discussing these extraterrestrial beings, these interdimensional beings. Knowing that our government's been playing with experiments for a long time, suddenly out of nowhere, MK Ultra may take on a whole new meaning, remembering the 5 true stories about military's paranormal activity research, trying to talk to goats. Whole movie done on it. Where did that come from? What did they think they were going to accomplish? And why did they suddenly undertake these unique experiments? Going all the way back to Skinwalker Ranch, the Pentagon secret UFO program, the hitchhiker effect, and models of contagion. I hope many of you know what this was all about. One area of investigation initiated by the AAWSAP, wow, another government agency, involves Skinwalker Ranch, the famous Skinwalker Ranch, where multiple UFO sightings had taken place over decades, as well as a plethora of anomalies that included cattle mutilation, sighting of orbs of different colors, discarnate entities, and poltergeist activity. Shortly after the investigation began, the DIA deployed several military personnel on site to visit Skinwalker Ranch to corroborate and evaluate earlier reports of the phenomena. One of those members himself had experienced a profound anomaly on the ranch in 2007. This experiment, in fact, was a significant instigation of the formation of the program. All 5 DIA personnel deployed to the ranch experienced profound anomalies while on the property, and more importantly, all 5 brought something home with them. Now, my friends, that's not good. But nonetheless, the Pentagon declassified this information. That to me, well, that spells a demon now, doesn't it? But putting this all together, the main question is, why now? Why is everyone suddenly talking about aliens, vehicles, pilots, all being found and existing? So has our government been lying to us for the last 100 years? That's not a good answer now, is it? Or why are they suddenly deciding to tell us the truth? What are we looking at? What are we about to face off with? Well, those are all questions, but this is probably the least of what I'm concerned about. In other words, there are I'm going to close with this. This was on Zero Hedge, amazing close. In other words, there is either a highly organized attempt to reveal a spectacular yet hidden truth to the rest of humanity, or there is a highly organized attempt to use information warfare as a means to shape the collective consciousness. Either the U.S. government has engaged in a massive conspiracy for nearly a century to hide important information and truths from its own citizens, or it is involved in a massive conspiracy today to manipulate Americans en masse, which that shouldn't be a surprise. At the time when political leaders love to speak about the virtues of democracy, either possibility confirms a staggering disrespect for popular sovereignty. That is a fairly stinging indictment against Western government and society. People are bombarded with so much government-sanctioned propaganda and outright lies that they never know whether official statements are true, and more than likely why they're not paying attention to this one. Because we don't trust anyone. Outside institutions, including academia and the news media, have embraced so much fake news over the years that their reputations are in no better shape. The end result is that nobody is in a position of authority to be trusted or believed. The bombshell of the millennium explodes right outside America's doors. Information disclosed on UFOs, aliens, demons, fallen angels, technology. And the public largely shrugs because it accepted an ugly truth long ago. It is constantly being deceived. With all due respect to our extraterrestrial friends, perhaps that is the most important news story of our time. J.B. Shirk, by the way, Gatestone Institute. So what say you? What's happening? Why the disclosures now? Why the sudden interest in actually telling us the truth? I can't wait to see your comments. We are going to have a ton more information on this topic. We're going to go deep into not only the biblical references, but we will stay on top of what our government has done in the past. We'll tie it back into events today, and we will keep you posted, because what else really matters? This is more significant than Hunter Biden accepting a plea deal. They love keeping you busy with the bouncing ball, don't they? When the biggest thing right underneath your nose, America just turns its head on. Well, we won't allow that. We'll continue to bring light to it. We love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.